You're listening to the Psychic Coffee Shop Podcast Network.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Psychic Coffee Shop. I'm Aeson Knight, and of course, with me tonight is my co-host of the mostest, Techy Joe. How are you, darling?
I'm here. That's about all I got for anyone this evening. Is I'm here.
Yes, you are.
Oh, I could be doing worse. That's where I'm at.
Well, you could have just slept through the show, but you didn't.
Yeah, I woke up for the show.
How is everybody?
Yes.
It's going to be a great evening. We've got a lot of topics to cover. Some are a little controversial. Some are kind of like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, really?
But
I don't know. The world's turning into a more interesting place. I'll go with that.
Well, I think it's turning into a more interesting, more go-to place. I think it's turning into something more overall comfortable. Now, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. One of our patrons did bring an article to our attention, and we're going for that one first.
Awesome.
Biden is bringing back the plans to put Harriet
Tubman
back on the 20. She's headed into the $20 bill, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was amazing when it was announced under the Obama administration. Like, it was awesome then. And then I don't know. I think that, somewhere around, 3 months of Trump, everyone kind of forgot about that one.
Everyone stopped following that one. Everyone stopped doing that one.
Yeah. It was like backburnered. I had totally forgotten. Until I saw the article, and then I was like, oh, yeah, we were supposed to be doing that. Like, what the hell happened?
And it happens.
Harriet Tubman 20.
Yes. I think it's all for it. I think it should be done. If we look at other countries' money, they have much more expandable and interesting people on the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think other countries just have cooler money, period. But that's just me.
They do. Now, granted, my favorite's the yen, because the yen changes all the way through. I love its denominations. It makes me feel happy. Its colors are pretty. I also like Canadian money. And
is it Canada, though, that their bills, or is it Australia, that their bills differ by denomination in length? So, 100 would be shorter than a 50, or 100 would be longer than a 50, which is longer than a 20, which is longer than a 10, which is longer than a 5.
And that's going to be Australia, because Canadian money, I remember, felt so interesting. It felt almost like plastic. It had some really nice artwork on it. It was pretty. It very vibed. But I also like Canadian money because anything below what I say is a 10 is coins. And granted, I like coins. Coins are fun, especially in automated checkout machines. I miss that.
Well, I know, but then again, it is coins can be a little annoying. I never liked the silver dollars and stuff.
See,
I just want a real dollar. Don't do this to me.
Right.
I just got $5 back in coin.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm walking around sounding like a 2-bit whore. Stop it.
Yeah, but I think it'll be funner. I think it would be better. Now, here's a bigger question. Who would you like to see replaced on Benjamin? Personally, I think, it's time for the 100 to get a new face.
That's a strong question. Like if we had to, I don't know. I think it would be really nifty if our money actually celebrated historical events more than historical people.
Mm-hmm.
Aww. So not everyone is for change to the money.
I
Okay.
I am very much for it. I think it would be great to have Rosa Parks on the 100. And then, oh, maybe.
Very, very valid point there, Jennifer. That would make me a 5-bit whore. I don't know. I mean, some of the coins, some of the larger ones, my biggest problem has always been like, who wants to carry an Olympic medal in their pocket? Like even Olympic medalists don't want to carry that thing around.
Please, they wear it to everything.
I know, but can you imagine? Like, at least they get a box for it. It's kind of like, and but no, you get a bunch of silver dollars, and it's like you're just walking around feeling like you gotta like, and but no. So we're broadcasting. That's cool.
Yeah. So we're sharing and broadcasting at the same time. And we've validated that we're broadcasting, which is amazing. But no, I think Stonewall should go in the 500.
Okay. Elaborate.
Well, Stonewall was a pivotal moment. I think that we should put it on the $500 bill.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, I just think they should be like. I would appreciate also having on the bills like why they're there, like why is this person there? A little history, or just using our money as a PSA area. That would be very nifty. Like doing public service announcements on money. I think that would be great. Like, and especially historically, like what was important in this decade, what was important in that decade, and letting money be like a historical record.
That would be interesting.
Like a common populace thing.
Yeah, that would be highly interesting. I think it would be highly comfortable too, for it to be that way.
But I mean, that's just me.
Right.
Like, I think I just think if it's something that most people are going to be handling, it should carry a lot more than just this kind of staticky image that most people couldn't recognize. Like, it's funny the number of people that probably could not pick like Andrew Jackson out of a lineup, but would have money in their pocket all the time,
right,
and still wouldn't be able to do it. Oh, now I think that a lot of our like national monuments would be great for the back. That would be beautiful for the back of our money. But I definitely think the sizing thing for people with visual impairment would be amazing.
Right.
Like, I think all money should have Braille on it.
At least, I mean, we can put a tracking code. Can we not put Braille?
Yeah.
And sorry, the name flew out my head. It's Marsha P. Johnson. I would love to see her on the 500. They done a lovely statue in Stonewall in the Stonewall Park. That would be lovely to see there. I think we put Harriet Tubman on the 20. We take and do the $100 with Marsha Parks. That still leaves some history on the 1 and 5, but it's kind of a lead up. And as the denomination grows greater, then we add more current events.
Actually, paper money is a misnomer because Sarah points out, why not trees? That's what it's made of. If I remember correctly, isn't it made of a cotton linen?
Actually, it's made out of blue jeans.
What?
Yes, money is made out of old blue jeans.
What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got lost. Seriously? This is what we're doing?
That's why I will buy back your old jeans so they can sell it to the federal government to make money out of.
Okay. I missed that one. I'm just double checking. I'm like, I missed this.
We can see he doesn't watch Modern Marvels.
Well, it's 75% cotton and 25% linen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, yep, basically. Okay, gotcha. Understand now.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, it took me a minute, but I remembered enough to know, no, it's not actually made out of paper. But yeah.
And currently it's linen, it's blue jeans, and then they've got some technology going on. That's in a debate if we even keep money to begin with.
Well, that's a fair point. Especially
paper money.
But other countries that have done that, it was mostly because their devaluation of their currency occurred so quickly that, one, the value of the money was higher as a product than it was in face value. Granted, we've seen that happen with our money a couple of times. That's why some of the metals are not exactly what you would think. A lot of our metal coinage is plated.
Right. Well, I think that's the way we need to go. And we've gotten into this discussion, and we've gotten into this long discussion with people. We don't keep cash.
Not typically.
No.
Generally, if we have cash, it's for a specific purpose, like feeding into a change machine.
Yes.
Just to do laundry. And it's like...
Or, into the self-checkout to protest them using self-checkout and cutting down labor.
Oh my God. Yeah, he is evil at self-checkouts. He will pay in pennies. He will do a total penny dump on a self-checkout.
Yes. Because that is a job that this area needs.
Well, very true. I've noticed though when I was at Kroger today that they have gone back to the normal. There's 4 self-checkouts at our Kroger, and they had 1 human-operated line open.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, crap.
That's not carrying cash, Mika.
Well, that's a slight difference. Yeah.
Yes, that cash doesn't exist unless it has to exist.
Yeah. But no, otherwise, no. No, if I'm carrying cash, there's a reason.
Right.
Like the lottery ticket machine.
Yeah.
Although that brings up a point of, this many years on since I saw my first vending machine with a credit card swipe.
Uh-huh.
We're still not there. And even those are kind of crappy.
Yeah.
That technology has not really taken off. This idea that you were going to be able to walk up to a vending machine and just swipe a card or use, PayPal or something. It's still kind of crap.
Well, that's because of the lack of cell signal.
Well, there is a lot of that. And a lack of network integration. I really thought that would have been the thing that would have pushed us over the edge on that.
Right. Now, the other thing that I think would be more interesting with our money is we pay artisans to design things to go on money. We also pay the same artisans to design stamps.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if every time there was a new stamp out, commemorative stamp or whatever, it also became a bill? That way we pay one artisan to do two jobs, pay them double the money, and get it done.
Well, there is that. There is that.
Yep.
Then again, if that were to occur, we may have to be careful because that might kick off like money hoarding.
Yeah.
Which is which can be a problem, and it's. I mean, it works out great. Like stamp collectors work out great for the United States Postal Service.
Yeah.
Like they'll gladly sell you a commemorative sheet,
right,
and that you never actually use.
We don't
get more money for us. We don't care. You go take that prepaid postage and you just kind of do whatever you want to with it. We don't care. But I would see the U.S. Treasury being a little more meh if it turned coin collectors / money collectors into like a bigger thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, no, you can't do that. Like, no, that can't be a hobby everyone gets into all of a sudden.
But they did with the quarters, the state quarters.
It did, and that was a very cool thing. But there's a certain point in which there's repercussions for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like our money supply is tied to a very specific idea of a limited amount. And money is intended to convey basically an energy.
Right. But if we look at recently, and we've talked about this story online, when they were trying to finance the first COVID relief package and pushing for a second COVID relief package, they were trying to figure out how to finance it. And of course, Elon Musk and about 3 others stepped up and said, just print a damn coin. I'll take the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we will invest and buy this coin if you make it limited to just 5 coins. 5 coins, we'll buy it.
Yeah. Very true. Though but that's the problem, is it presents a debt of the United States. You can't just, in theory, yes, you could just do that.
Right.
But as I remember it creates a debt. Like you have to be able to exchange that. Otherwise, it's about as valuable as it's effectively a commemorative coin. Right. That's the only way you could get the U.S. on board with that, is if it's an entirely commemorative coin.
Right. Well, see, their thinking was, and their planning for it was, they would buy the coin with the gold that they currently own as a billionaire.
Okay.
Because money in itself is supposed to be based on the gold we have in Fort Knox. Like, your dollar bill is actually supposed to be tied to a level of material minerals that the U.S. currently has.
No, we got rid of the gold standard.
But if you look at the notes and the way it's written, and the way that it is still the gold and silver standard.
Okay.
Yes.
My memory was that we had completely trashed the gold standard because it became impossible to keep that much gold.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll accept I'm wrong on it. I'm just saying. My memory was it was not tied.
Right.
Oh, so yeah. But no, the thing with stamp collecting though is that postage comes in a denomination which is reflective of the contemporary price of mailing a letter. And then it gets a little weird from there. Is effectively you can choose to turn around and, either redeem that or not. Like, again, like the United States Postal Service will gladly, like 50 years on, take an entire sheet of 5-cent stamps.
Mm-hmm.
Or, whatever its previous value, or what, like, it holds its value forever, but it holds it at that amount. The forever stamp did a weird thing.
Right.
Which was whatever the current rate is, this is what the stamp is worth.
Right, but if you notice, forever stamps are not commemorative art.
Well, true.
Yeah, but
yeah, they're usually kind of blah.
Yeah,
but no one wants those. Well, as in, no one wants to really hoard those.
Right, but that's why the American dollar is the world standard.
Yeah. Sorry, I actually do have a sheet of stamps.
But no, that's why the American dollar is the world standard dollar, meaning that when a country to another country needs to get money or get something, they do it through American, like that's our current world standard. There's been a large debate on if the American economy destabilizes, if we are able to do, if we would be replaced by the yen or another currency, which would be very disastrous for the Americans.
Well, it would. That's always been one of the biggest concerns with like our country destabilizing, period.
Right.
Is that our currency is one of the strongest in the world. If we were to lose that position, it could get real ugly real fast.
Yeah.
Like, and especially when you stop and realize the number of U.S. corporations that are global,
mm-hmm.
that are banking on that currency will never destabilize.
Right.
Because the minute that currency destabilizes, or our currency destabilizes, those corporations are in a world of hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is what drives the ability to have a U.S.-based company that basically does nothing but have an office.
Right.
That imports everything that it, does.
Right. Right. So here's the thing with that, and here's the more, and this is why, changing bills and changing things are important.
Mm-hmm.
I think is because they've built in so much security. Like, y'all guys already know there is a data line or something in each bill. And they're starting to cycle out the 60s and 70s and the 80s bills is because of the currency and because they can put in more security. And I think that would even make it harder for them to be able to copy it.
Well, yeah, there is that. Well, because there is, it's this little security strip. It's the little band, which it does make it harder to reproduce. Originally, we were just using plates with serial numbers. That worked well for a fairly long time until it actually became impossible to, that you spend enough time counterfeiting, you apparently get good at it. Like any other, unfortunate trade. You get good at it. So yeah, we have had to beef up our security, especially in an era where, in the US at least, buying equipment got cheaper and cheaper. Basically, the color copier and the color laser printer kind of screwed us there for a while.
Right.
Because it was possible to create a passable bill just with those little pieces of technology.
Right. And, some Levi's.
Well, if you buy a decent, resume paper, but no, that led to a whole host of watermarking and security stripping, and yeah.
Right. And that becomes a problem. It's like most stores will not really take a $2 bill.
Well, and there's a lot of issues surrounding the way that stores are handling money. I made the joke years ago because we used to, with my grandmother, go weekly because she
Mhm.
was still very attached to the concept of cash, and because of her situation, we ended up having to use cash for everything. And I made the joke, it wasn't a joke, it was a very serious statement. I kind of reamed one of the tellers. She sent me out the amount of money that I asked for, but she did it in the largest bills possible.
Mhm.
Which in that instance left me with like with $100 bill. And I just kind of held it up to her and through the intercom said, "Have you ever tried to break $100 bill in this town?"
Mhm.
And she just looked at me confused, and I said, "It's near impossible.
Mhm.
Everyone thinks I'm a drug dealer.
Mhm.
They're about ready to call the cops, and most of them don't have enough change in their safe in bills to break this."
Mhm.
So I actually end up getting told, "I'm sorry, I can't break that bill."
Right.
So that actually taught her, and apparently it became a thing. Amongst the tellers, they apparently knew me very quickly.
Mhm.
To start doing, some lower denominations, at least when I showed up.
Right.
And in talking to one teller, found out that, yeah, apparently that was a problem for a few customers.
Uh-huh.
I think all of us hit our breaking point at the same time.
Right.
Because they apparently got that same, like, seriously, if you tried to break 100 in this town recently,
Yeah.
you can't
But
do it.
right. But at the same time, people need to realize there is a US $1 bill, a US $2 bill, a US $3 bill, a US $5 bill.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that the 2 and 3 actually exist. It's like they don't realize that there is a gold $1, there is a silver $0.50, and a silver $1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a variety of denominations that fell out of favor.
Right.
They were meant to do a thing, and then the thing that they were meant to do actually wasn't either quit being beneficial
Mm-hmm.
or was effectively not as beneficial as one would have thought.
Right.
Plus, you add in people are like, no, I know there's a 1, a 5, a 10, a 20, and 100.
Uh-huh.
And then everything beyond that became like, is this even real? Because I believe there's still a $500 bill. We discontinued the $1,000 bill.
Right. There's still a 5. There is technically still a $1,000 bill. It's not popular. And I believe there's a $5,000 bill.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I know that the 1,000 dying was a thing.
Right.
Like, there were a fair number of people that were a little disgruntled with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think technically at this point, in order to use a $1,000 bill, I think you technically have to take those to a bank.
Yep.
Like, banks will no longer give you a $1,000 bill; they will accept a $1,000 bill and exchange it.
Yep. But yeah,
That's just because they're trying to get them out of circulation.
exactly. But yes, there is a 3. Again, they're trying to get it out of circulation. Not many people have seen it. It's probably not been popular since, I don't know, minimum wage. Wage in itself was 10 cents an hour.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But these are also, in some ways, bills from a different era.
Right.
They were built for a world that was entirely needed to be able to move cash.
Right.
Physical hard cash.
Right.
As a primary function of paying expenses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if banks actually. I don't think you can. I think they are literally down to the point of you would have to find a collector for a $1,000 bill.
Yep. And
But sorry, that we went a little.
But give me a second.
Yeah.
We will educate.
Of course, now what you may find out is that $1,000 bill is no longer worth $1,000.
Right.
And that's the weirdo thing is you may find out that to buy $1,000 bill, you would have to spend like $2,000 or $3,000 because of its scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
Which is when money gets weird.
It is, but it's like a $3 bill is $150.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I reformatted yesterday because the mechanics wife got tired.
Yes. Oh, when bread was 10 cents a loaf, not $5. Oh.
Yep.
Once upon a time. Well, and that's a big part of our economy anymore, is that a lot of what has happened, especially over the last several decades, has drastically increased the price of things while not really changing the money we're taking in to buy them.
Right. So for those that have never seen a $3 bill.
Okay.
There we go. That is a $3 bill.
Well, there you go. So yeah.
Yeah. It is now valued at, according to eBay, $150.
Wow. Well, there you go. I'm wondering what the actual current value of $1,000 bill is, but that's just me. Because again, scarcity, like they weren't like mass produced bills, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Right.
Because in their heyday, they were basically the pocket change of millionaires. But so they weren't high production bills to begin with. They were already fairly rare. I just wonder how high their value went. Like a $3 bill would have been more common.
Well, a $3 bill would have probably been very common. And
compared to $1,000 bill, hell yeah.
Yeah. And the $1,000 bill used to be a statement piece. You wrap your money wad with that $1,000 bill, kind of like
hundreds.
Ballers today wrap their ones with a 100 or 20, trying to act like it.
Apparently, a lot of people ask this question. Actually, several thousands. The standard value for a generic note in lightly circulated condition is probably around $1,600. So, yeah. Oh yeah, the $2 bills were very cool. Now Brenda, if you still have those, look for the ones that have red ink. Those are more valuable.
Yep, those are silver.
Side note.
Yep. So moving on to less funner news, and we get to call somebody out. Arkansas, your political people have gotten terrible, but yet you have a former blabbermouth running now for governor, but you got to clean your Senate house too because you have a total imposter there. Senator Tom Cotton, you are a liar, you are dishonorable, and you should be badgered like someone standing on a street corner dressed in an army outfit.
Oh, and Brenda does have one. She knows what I'm talking about. She's there. She's good.
Cool.
Awesome. But yeah, so no, Arkansas, yeah. So apparently it is a common confusion for people, the difference between being a ranger and having ranger training. Poor Tom Cotton and his media for his or his political media didn't know the difference. and has basically been claiming he was a U.S. Army Ranger, which he is not.
Yeah, he is not an Army Ranger. Cotton served in the Army for 8 years with 2 tours in the war zone. His military personnel record lists 8 medals and his Ranger tab for attending the U.S. Ranger course. But severe interviewed and campaign material where portrayed himself as an Army Ranger, an honor he never earned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a big crowbar of distinction between being tested and becoming part of that regiment and being a U.S. Army Ranger and just taking the Ranger training.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't make that distinction. He has led everyone to believe he was a U.S. Army Ranger in direct statements, such as, quoted in a 2012 interview, my experience as a U.S. Army Ranger in Iraq and Afghanistan and my experience in business will put me in very good condition. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very big thing.
Yes. Now, this is how I graphically see the situation. Remember in high school, you had your ROTC members who were ROTC members in high school. They leave high school and do not continue in the Army at all, and later put on their resume that they're a veteran.
Or that they have military experience. And it's like, no, not. Yeah. Or, we've seen this in other areas. And it does happen, even in the business world. Like, people will start to claim that they have degrees when it's, no, that's not exactly how that works.
Right.
And some people will do it very subtly. Like, if they attended, say, the Wharton School of Business, they may lead you to believe, in the way they phrased it, that they have an MBA or they have a degree from the Wharton School of Business, which is a very big thing. Not to be, knocked off. That's not the same as you took a class.
Right.
And then you got kicked out because you failed it. Like, that's different. That's way different.
Right.
Even if you went on to get an MBA degree elsewhere,
right,
does happen. There are, like, forgiveness programs. Some schools will, kind of make you wait a little while, kind of a prayer for judgment kind of moment. Assuming that, when you went to get it, you were under difficult life circumstance, and, that's why you failed out of that program. Okay, as a more mature adult, maybe you got your crap together and you can do this now. We'll take the risk of admitting you. One, you probably didn't go back to Wharton, and two, because they're not very forgiving, because they are a prestigious program. But other MBA programs will potentially accept you. Sorry, things I know from past experience. It's considered a risk. There's very few slots for that. Like, it's a rare admission. But it can happen, and does. But usually whatever school wants to take you after that wants to be very, very sure whatever caused you to, as one could say, squander that opportunity has resolved itself.
Right.
And sometimes that literally is you're, too young and stupid to be, responsible. And sometimes it is you are in a life situation that rapidly changes. And, through no fault of your own, things happen.
Right.
Yeah, MBA programs
that
are
isn't even
wonky.
Senator Cotton's story. Yeah. That isn't what he done here. Here's an example of what he done. I one time enjoyed a lovely weekend class on Victorian medicine and medical practices. I attended the seminar both days. It was an enjoyable one. You do not see me practicing medicine and going, well, when I was a doctor, I see it as this. We should bloodlet you and stain you on your head for 20 minutes, and that should relieve your pain.
Or more importantly, not when you were, but as a doctor.
Yes.
We should bloodlet you and sand you on your head. Yeah, that would be a very close akin to that.
Yeah.
But again, we do see this. A lot of people do, to advance their career, claim things they didn't do.
Right.
It's sort of like we have an internal joke about Grindr, or online profiles on dating sites in general, or sex sites, whatever. Is that, like, people will lie about anything. Like, we've both been there, done that, had that experience. They will gladly send you the 20-year-old picture. They will gladly tell you they are 6'5" when they are 5'7". They will, if there's a item in that list, they will lie about it. Some people approach their career that way.
Right.
And effectively what happens is a lot of the resume process, a lot of the hiring process is based on almost an honor system that you're not going to lie. Because typically the penalties for lying, the higher you go up the food chain, the bigger the penalties get.
Right.
And the more ugly it gets when you're found to be lying.
Right. And, this is kind of, I'm sorry, it seems to be the top of the food chain. And yes, he lied. He lied completely. I think they should do a Senate investigation on it for ethics charges if Republicans do not get their crap together and start paying attention.
Well, and for anyone. Like, that's not even a partisan issue. Now, the fact that we see it happen more, that's a problem. But for any candidate who lies that grossly,
right?
It's not that he doesn't have military experience, and that alone would have been enough to carry him. To go one step further and not call out the fact that, no, you're claiming a very distinct honor in our military that you don't have.
Right.
Like that's not what you did. Yeah. But I say that for any candidate, any representative.
I say it for all of them. I'm sorry. I want them fact checked. I want we have to do a security FBI screening for them to get intelligence information. Why was this not uncovered and produced before 2021? Why, when he stated this in 2012, the FBI didn't go, we have your personnel file here, and while you're on CNN, you only attended the academy for 2 months and failed out. You were not an Army Ranger. Why did you state that?
Well, moreover, I think it's the problem that we have trying to track all sources in real time. That honestly, statements he was making, even as a representative, were not he wasn't a big enough fish for anyone to care about frying. As in, no one was closely monitoring what he said. and to some degree, that's the problem in and of itself.
Right.
Is there is a massive there's not a commitment to holding our representatives to a high standard. It is meant to be its own honor,
Mm-hmm.
and you expect everyone to play fair.
Mm-hmm. And they haven't. For over 40 years, they haven't.
At least.
At least.
Not that like every politician is going to make false promises. Like that's just a given.
Right.
Like you say what you got to win. But then there are things that it's like no. You don't want to play with that. That's not a thing.
Right. Well, moving on to another topic.
Mm-hmm.
Russian protesters have stepped up their demands for a releasal. They are now pelting police with snowballs.
Yes.
Now, granted, we have seen around 2,000 people arrested for the riot by riot police for standard protesting. They are not storming the Capitol. They haven't burnt anything down. They haven't even set a trash can on fire to get heated. But they are standing up.
Which is a big deal for Russia.
It very much is. Protesting in general is a big deal for Russia because, they don't protest there.
Not typically. Like, it's a very controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
Very controlled media, very controlled situation of, living your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
Typically a country that just accepts whatever's going on.
Right.
Not really known for their riotous behavior or mass protests or being, all that involved in the affairs of others.
Right. And matter of fact, this is probably the first major protesting we're seeing out of Russia since they threw the Tsar out of Russia and Russian government.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't mean that they never do it. It just means that when they do it, it's a big
deal.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we've known Russia has for a very long time, at least 20 years, been out to execute, assassinate any Russian speaking out against them. We have seen some ricin attacks. We have seen, they're the ones that made everyone fearful of umbrellas. That's why the cane umbrella fell out of style, is because of a ricin attack that was done with a cane umbrella.
Ah.
Yes. So I think it's interesting that they're standing up. Yes, this is making news. Why is this making news? Is because it's so unprecedented.
Well, and then you got to get back to where it started, because it started out of a poisoning.
Yeah.
Or at least a poisoning attempt.
Yes, an assassination attempt. He did survive. Thank goodness he was in the UK. He was not on Soviet soil. He was in the UK. I still am not sure why he went back to Russia, unless there's a visa problem or something, or he didn't get asylum. But, of course, he has now been jailed.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're protesting it. They are, this is tens of thousands of people are calling for Navalny's release.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a fun story.
Yeah.
It's very twisty-turny.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fun in Russia.
The mother nation. It's fun to watch the people get a little blood pressure up. I don't know. This is going to be a dumpster fire for them in general. And I think that we may see some major changes in Russia over the next decade. And it ain't going to be pretty, because they don't do things pretty. Sorry, they don't. Even Russian fashion's a little boring.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to the U.S., there's a lovely shock going on within the stock market.
Yeah, it is a big hot topic. Sorry, I'm having to ask for coffee. But yeah. Um, so, a company that's popular in our house.
In many houses in our viewing audience.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
GameStop. If you haven't looked at, if you're invested in them or you haven't been following, yeah. So GameStop, who, if you remember, not so long ago, was effectively headed straight towards bankruptcy and potentially, was closing stores and was potentially headed towards mass closing of all stores. Has now seen a 1,000% change in its stock price.
Right.
In what are we at? Like, what
A
was
week.
that? Since the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so less than a month, 1,000% jump.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a company near bankruptcy. They closed all their Canadian stores. They were starting to close American stores.
Oh, yes.
It was like the doors are shuttering. Even I was like, no, let's not renew our stuff because they may not be open. Let's start looking at alternatives on how to get your gaming stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they've shot up.
Oh, yeah. But it's been a little weird, and I'm trying to remember, like what here it is. Sorry, couldn't find it for a second. So yeah, apparently, activist investor and Chewy co-founder Ryan Cohen, this is what precipitated all this, was that Ryan Cohen was being added to GameStop's board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
That created a little push
Mm-hmm.
that has now been snowballing.
Right.
Oh, games and game systems are a kind of a crazy market in general.
Right.
And we've had our own like in-house debates over that.
Mm-hmm.
The gaming ecosystem is a very weird place.
Mm-hmm.
That's its own like long form tangent.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm kind of glad GameStop is currently on the upswing. The big warning is that it could go down just as quickly as it went up, because this isn't that GameStop technically added any value.
Right.
This is kind of
investing.
Do what now?
This is day traders investing and creating a pump. When we look at their historical average value, it's below $50. Their highest value before this was in January of 2008 when it was at $49.32. It closed today at $147.98. That is, of course, a 92.7% rise today only. And after 8 hours trading, it is possibly gone up another 61.63, depending on who you listen to, because after hours trading is a wild ball in itself.
Yeah. Well, and to address Ashley's comment, it sounds like fraud from GameStop. No, not exactly how that's working.
No.
What this is kind of like Kmart bringing on Martha Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
And the value of Martha Stewart would drove up Kmart for a while.
Right.
Just the name brand attachment.
Right.
Really, helped Kmart for many, many years. Just that alone.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what's happening here is they brought in someone who has a high, brand name value, to a company that was that hasn't been performing well. And this kind of like triggered a bit of a synergy.
Right. And it's a major synergy in general. Long-term investors, this ain't the game for you. Stay out of it.
Yeah.
If you were one of those that early 2014 when it was at $9.24, or even as late as September, when it was at $5.31, I have one word for you: get out.
Mm-hmm.
And no, that's not two words. That's one word.
Yeah. Well, the more important part is, just to clarify, is if you have $150 right now and you're looking to invest, this isn't where.
No.
This isn't where.
No.
That's key important takeaway for anyone is no, right now is the wrong time to get into GameStop.
Yeah, but can you imagine if you were, because I have done low stock investing. And no, I am not a financial expert. No, I am not giving financial advice. See your stockbroker.
Well, but now this is just like anyone will tell you, now's not the moment.
But no, listen to me. Yeah. Their 52-week low was $2.52. Now, that's within my stock buying range. Because I buy cheap shit stock just to play with. Can you imagine the person that bought the $2.57 stock, and if they had done it at $100, they threw $100 at it.
Yeah.
How much of a shitting of the pants they're doing?
Probably the kind that's like sell. And that's that's usually what happens. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of and pausing or trading was paused on it today because of its volatility.
Yes.
Because this shouldn't happen. Realistically, shouldn't happen. As in, this is not average behavior. This is, you can't sustain this. This is not sustainable growth. This is not built on anything other than, hi, we have a new director coming on our board, and people have a lot of, feelings about him.
Right. But, okay.
That's it.
Back to our scenario. You bought the stock when it was $2.57. You spent $100. You got 38 shares of stock.
Mm-hmm.
If you are an intelligent being, you are selling that stock right now because you have $5,757.98 in pure profit. Remember to file your taxes.
Yes. Which is going to take a big hit of that.
Not if you roll it into another stock, i.e. something more stable like Coca-Cola.
Well, just a theory.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it always gets me when stocks do crazy things.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this happen. And it typically anymore we've been, and like last year, we saw the inverse happen with oil.
Yes.
Crude oil.
Yes.
When the total opposite is, quite frankly, oil futures were to a point, we will pay you to take our oil.
And that is where you should have invested in oil.
Well,
It's like if it crashes tomorrow, I'm going to look and go, honey, I need $100.
Okay.
And you can go, why? I mean, well, because I need to give it to E-Trade and go get me some Coca-Cola.
Fair point. But again, it's always, the best situation with stock is that you, one, have a diversified portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Two, it can be nice to own some vanity stock. Mm-hmm. It can feel fun. And it's usually a great way to get children into investing and understanding investing is to go spend a couple bucks, pick up a very recognizable name brand stock. And again, this is kind of common things that you'll get taught in schools.
No, they don't.
If you're in that influential class that can afford to just go drop, whatever Disney's currently trading at, just so your kids can be like, I own part of that. And it makes Disney more personal to them.
Right. And I always say, invest in things you buy. if you are buying Charmin, invest in Procter & Gamble. Of course, Procter & Gamble is a very wide diversity platform. It really is, got a lot of products. It's not going to go that far. So let's look at Disney, which is a very reputable company. They now control 3 of the major film networks. They're trading at $169.56. Why is this important? This is important because if you're going to go and spend $200 on a pair of shoes your child is going to grow out of in 6 months, go buy them a stock of Disney and buy them a $20 pair of Walmart shoes. That is a better investment.
Well, yeah. But now the reality is, because Sarah brings up the point, they don't teach that in school. No, not high school, junior high, elementary, pre-K. They don't teach that.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be your college economics class.
Right.
Somewhere between 101 and 102, they're going to, I will guarantee you, there will be a professor that will, in your economics or your finance class every once in a while, that will blurt that sentence out, and you will be sitting there going, I have exceeded my income bracket.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thought you will have while sitting there, is I have exceeded my income bracket right here. Or at least that was my thought process, is like, I'm sitting in an economics class, living off of ramen noodles and, using my textbook that I bought off of like eBay. That's the international version, like, just to like set the scene. Like, these are sentences you hear, mm-hmm. and it's like, this is not applicable to my life.
Right. But here's the thing, and this is something that people get a lot of craziness
mm-hmm.
going on.
Yeah.
People think you have to have $1,000 to buy stock. People think you have to have $10,000 to buy stock. You don't. You have to have the stock price, the amount of the stock you want, i.e. 2, 4, 15, 20 shares. You have to have your trading fee, i.e. with E-Trade, it's $9.99 or $29.99, depending on which stock you're buying.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to have. You can own any stock you want. Granted, you're not going to have a large voting right. Like, you are not going to have the gentleman, I have dealt with this before moment, but you can make money. You can make money very cautiously.
Well, yeah.
Buy small, buy cheap, let it grow. Your growing portfolio should be about 20 years of your life.
There is that, as well as the fact that if you're investing in stock, your first thing you have to attach to your forehead to think about is, one, not everyone is a skilled day trader. That mm-hmm. is a unique skill set, and it is basically gambling.
Right.
2, that growth rates for your money, a 10% return on investment, is really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's, and so, and that needs to be like your line there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if someone or something is offering more than 10% return on your investment, dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Dig a little deeper.
Now, we've got some chatters in our boxes here that I know are mothers. I would love to know the amount of money you spent on your child last Christmas.
There you go. Very valid point. Well, and we've gotten into
this under the age of 5.
Well, yeah, especially the young kids. Because I got into a conversation with a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of an awkward moment. She was really upset because, I forget, it was like her 3 or 4-year-old. It was their birthday. Things were kind of tight for them. They weren't going to be able to afford to do the great big giant, like, Chuck E. Cheese birthday party, rent the room, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here going, you do understand this child will never remember this birthday party, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at all. Like, not to the level you're thinking. Like, this isn't a sweet 16. This isn't, turning 13. This is an age of forgettable birthdays. Cake, candy, something to open. That's it. That's the total requirement for the birthday. That's it. That's all you got to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bare minimums. Can play in the backyard with their friends with a stick and a rock and have a glorious time is not an age to go spending like $1,000 on a birthday party or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't even.
Right.
Like, that's wasting money. Like, go, like, take whatever you have of the rest of that you could have put towards this birthday party and buy a CD. Like, Jesus. Because that's where my head went, is like, this is a forgettable birthday for that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're the one who wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese. Like, you are wanting that experience for your child, and that's commendable. But that's not an experience they're going to really attach to and remember. It's like taking little kids to Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have fun. But how much of this trip do you think they're going to remember when they're 25 or 30? Like, it's going to be a very small, limited memory there.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's my point. Ashley said, we only spent about $150. You shouldn't be fearful or upset about that. You're under 5 years old.
She's 1. That like, here's the important part. She's 1.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how much you spent. She doesn't care how much you spent. Was she happy? There's the question you ask. Was she happy? Did she have a good day?
Mm-hmm.
Did she feel special?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you're looking for.
Right.
Like, little kid birthdays are so much easier than a lot of people make them out to anymore. Like, right. I don't get it. Like, I look at this from the outside, and I understand this is your baby. You want to do great, wonderful things, blah, blah, blah. Exactly. Like the kids playing with the wrapping paper. Do you really think they cared what was under it? Like, right. They are operating at, like, you buy a cat tree and the cats play with the box level here. Like, they're making their own fun. They're having fun. They had a great day. No one cares how much the gifts cost.
Right. And no one knows. Like, probably you can do this up until about age 8. And this is what I would do. If you are looking at a toy that is $100 and you see an exactly copy of the toy at the dollar store, let's say a truck, because I normally dealt with boys, they don't care if it's the Hot Wheels truck or if it is the truck from the dollar store. They will tear it up in 3 months. And they will not remember that.
Less. There's actually a story from my family about this. One of my brothers, my mom, he was into, like, Hot Wheels cars. And my mom got so excited, bought him this massive, like, collection of cars. Spent a more than decent sum of money on them. Massive, huge collection. What does she find, like, a day after, and it was a birthday or Christmas, I can't remember. I think it was Christmas. What does she find going on the day after? He is in the basement with a hammer making wreck-em cars. Because he don't understand the value of what she just did. Or the cost of it. He was having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Mom suddenly got the idea that was dumb. Like, I can't even be mad at him. That was dumb. I made it dumb. I did the thing where I spent way too much money on a gift for a kid who does not appreciate or understand money. He just wanted a toy he was going to play with however he wanted to play with.
Right.
And he wanted wreck-em cars.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted a, crash and bang 'em up, wreck 'em car experience. And he had an awesome time.
Mm-hmm.
He was happy. Mom had to check herself.
Right. However, if you had bought the dollar, and I'm doing this because this is my whole thing with Christmas, we just got through it. You can ask my boys. I will buy you anything you want at Christmas. It's basics. If instead of buying the $100 Hot Wheels package, you bought the dollar store package and went to his E-Trade account and bought him the stock from Mattel, who closed today at 4 p.m. at $17.68. Who knows what it was when you would have been Christmas shopping. We'll go with an average of $15 a share because the stock market has gone up since we had an inauguration. You could easily begin funding his college. You could easily be funding his home. You could easily, by the time he is 8 years old, the boy could have more money than you do.
Oh, and Ashley, yes, I understand. It'd burn you. And I think Mom started there, and she had to realize he's a kid. Like, and that's the thing you got to remember is kids they don't see value the same way adults do.
Right.
Like, they just don't. Like, he was in his own fantasy world having an amazing time.
Right.
And you've always got to remember that with kids, is you don't want to beat that out of them.
Well, and I think we've lost this in society. I remember as a child that, yeah, Christmas sucked. Birthdays suck. But you know what? I get a $20 savings bond every Christmas from this uncle who's a pain. I get a $20 savings bond on my birthday from this other uncle who's a pain because they didn't know what to buy me. We've replaced that with getting them gift cards.
Well, and go the other way, though, with it is that, again, like, spending time with kids, reading to kids, buying kids books, buying it, like, you would have no idea, unless you really get into it, the amount of fun that kids have with imagination.
Yes.
Like, that's where they're at. They're living in a fun little fantasy world. Like, wouldn't you if, like, every time you cry, someone wants to know what's wrong? And, you know, all your needs are met and you're clothed and sheltered and, you know, food is, like, handed to you. Like, you don't have to go to the grocery store. Like, it's part of the fantasy world of children. Literally, they're living in a fantasy. They need very little. Like, twigs and sticks and mud can become a castle.
And build their immune system.
Yeah. It's like, it's fine. Deal with it.
Yes.
You know, work with it. More importantly, like, if you're a new parent, quit getting obsessed about having, like, Gap shoes or whatever, like Baby Gap, whatever, or whatever the new Baby Gap is. The kid don't care.
Right.
Doesn't care. Doesn't give a crap. Will not remember.
Yeah. Well, it's like we have a friend who's pregnant and about ready to have a baby. And she was posting on her, you know, that she needed ideas because she's never had a summer baby. She is normally a winter mama bear. And I brought up sunscreen. Because it's summer. That baby needs a diaper and sunscreen.
Yep. Well, but that's actually a problem, is that sunscreen for under 6 months old is a problem.
Apparently.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
But again, don't be going and blowing money that your child could need later on. Hit that secondhand store. Goodwill. Love me some Goodwill. And I think we need to switch our society over to get us out of this really name brand crap. Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like when we were discussing my boots, and I'm like, I buy these boots. I don't have to buy another pair of shoes for 20 years unless I want them. Yeah.
Well, and just that part of life, kids are changing so much. Like, really? You're going to, really? Like, you're going to go spend $100 on shoes for something they're going to wear for like 2 months? If that? Because, I mean, I'm sorry. What I know of babies is they change a lot.
And they
Now,
don't like shoot.
10 years, lots of changes. Then you get a pause. They briefly maintain the size for like 5 minutes. And just as you're like, oh, thank God, puberty hits. And all of a sudden, you don't know what you're getting.
Right.
They might grow a foot overnight. They might, you have no idea what's about to happen.
Right. So, this is something to think of, especially for our uncles and our aunties out there, is go small on Christmas presents, i.e. small on price, not size. Believe me, I have seen at the dollar store dolls the size of a house for $5. And go into long-term investments, because now, and this has to do with your grandmother.
Okay.
Every quarter you get a $20 check from your grandmother. She hands you a 20 every quarter, and she ain't here anymore.
Basically.
Yeah. You've even streamlined it, so now it goes into your account.
Yep. I randomly have a $20 credit to my account.
Yep.
All started over as she called it, and I forever have to now, a dab of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little tiny baby term, if I remember correctly, term life insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
Simple, stupid insurance policy that when they got it would have been enough for like burial expenses, and like it would have covered a lot back in the day. Okay, it was a fixed payment period. Yeah, you can't buy these anymore. Fixed payment period. So you build up to the face value, and then you could opt to keep paying, and she did. So they kept paying for all these years, and then finally the company said, "Whoa, you've quadrupled the face value. Yeah, this is getting a little crazy. Now you can, if you want to keep paying, you can buy stock, like microscopic amounts of stock." And so kept doing that for many, many years until finally they said, "No more. We will not accept any more money."
Rhea, I need your birth date, honey.
Oh, yes. Oh.
But no, so he gets handed $20 every quarter and that's something to look at when you're looking for stock, is look for dividends.
Mm-hmm.
You want a nice dividend and reinvest it. Don't take it out, reinvest it.
Well, if you can. That's the situation I'm in, is all I can do is take the money.
Right.
Because that was also part of it, is it reinvested itself for many years. That was part of the stock thing. And then finally they quit doing that, and they're like, "No, you're going to take money."
Yeah.
Like, no, like that company is probably really ticked that I took the option to take over the stock than to cash it out.
Uh-huh.
Because they really, I think, hate that flipping program.
Right. Now, there are some out there that still do term life with an annuity payout. All right, so we were going to talk about that on the side because, of course, Rhea here. All right, so Rhea, start. Joe, do your vanity.
Okay, getting there. So, Rayla, 12/18/87. I'm curious, is there anyone out there for me, or does my ex want to get back together?
I feel there's someone new out there and you have opportunities to look at, and I feel like you should be looking at those. Even though the ex is showing up as returning, the question is he really worth it? Because we have the 9 of Wands following up, which is you surrendering and getting rid of things that you don't need. So I want you to really look at this, because you're going to get both. Now, you had a jumper card, and a jumper card normally pops out when there's something else, and your focus needs to be a happy home. Like, if they're bringing drama and problems to your life, you need to eliminate them. All right, Rhea, I hope that answered your question. I would go look at your opportunities and weigh those out, because the ex does come back, but he may come back after you're done looking.
Yeah. And just to cover what Sarah's saying is, yes. What I mean, though, is the way that stock was set up specifically and all the changes it went through doesn't exist anymore. Yes, you can do term life with an annuity. And I get that part. This was the predecessor to that. And it was kind of before they got to that point.
No.
In which effectively it kept gaining value. Then it turned into a stock option or a stock setup kind of thing. And yeah, it's basically the life insurance cashed out. I still have the stock portion.
Right.
Right.
Let's move on to Miss Ashley's question.
Yay! So 826.96. Do you see me doing anything with investing this year?
Let's see what we do here. You know, Ashley, this year is really going to be focused on you getting yourself together, getting some rest till you just produced an adult, another human being, and we focusing on your home. So if you're going to do investment, it'll be on your home.
Alrighty.
Okay. So moving on, we did get some sad news this week. Probably one of my icons. I heard him through radio back when I used to listen to AM radio, and of course, finally was able to see him on TV, and then saw some amazing interviews. Larry King passed away. Do you remember watching Larry King?
Unfortunately.
Why?
And I have to say it that way.
Interviews.
It's not that I have a problem with Larry King himself. My biggest problem was that my experience of watching Larry King has my father sitting in a recliner, screaming at the television. And it's like, no, no. It's sort of like there's a list of people that I cannot watch just because that's what happens in my head. I have that with Larry King, with your favorite, Joan Rivers. I have that with Katie Couric. And, you know, Rush Limbaugh, oh my God. Can't watch him for different reasons, but that chief among them is I can just hear my father's side of this conversation. Why human beings yell at a television, I have never understood, but okay. Not at the level Dad was at. Like he was going to guide the conversation. It's the same thing he did watching sports. It's like they don't care what you think, Dad.
Right.
No one cares what you think.
Well, Larry King did if he had picked up the phone and called in. Hello, caller. You're on the line. He is the one that coined that phrase. He is the one. Where are you calling from, caller? He done a lot of pivotal interviews. Now, somebody needs to go find out where Barbara Walters is and wrap her up in bubble wrap.
You know, I'm pretty sure they've already done that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Barbara Walters has been pickled at this point.
Right.
They've had to have dipped her in formaldehyde and been like, you're good for another 5 years.
Either that or she's staying in our apartment. But Larry King done actually an interview with Barbara Walters, one of the few interviews of Barbara Walters. He could get anybody on his shows because he worked at it. He is part of the old time journalism that this country needs. He was the one to actually first do the long form journalism where it was an hour show and you came in for an hour. And he moved through the medias as they moved in. He went from radio to TV, from TV to podcast, from podcast to YouTube. He was really great in journalism and journalism styles. He was also controversial.
He was. Yeah, he had some moments over the years.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. You know, he was very controversial in his views. He was very controversial in his public life. You know, he was one of the oldest men to have a 4-year-old and still be working.
Absolutely. And yes, it is crazy that TV causes that much stress. I think has influenced a lot of my TV viewing and how I interact or don't. like I'm totally cool with. I will sit down and watch a sitcom.
Mhm.
I will sit down and I will watch a movie. I don't have any problems with those. I have problems with talk shows.
Mhm.
I always have, like, or, even news programs I have problems with just because I hear my dad's side of this conversation and I'm like, I don't want to.
Right. Well,
Like,
hopefully,
I can fill his voice in at any moment watching, like, daytime television or, like, daytime news, morning news, evening news,
Mhm.
Talk shows, all of it. I can fill it in. And it's like,
Well,
oh, God.
eventually, hopefully, you'll be able to get past that because it does influence our TV watching. That's why I don't watch sitcoms with you, because you can't keep pace.
No. True.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to pause. Like, and it's bad, I know, but
we go to watch something together. We watch one episode of it. I go, okay, let's sit down next week and watch the rest, or watch another episode then. Before I know it, he's already watched all of it, and it's like,
I'm sorry, the '90s ruined me.
Yeah.
What? Do you not remember that part of the '90s when, like, you like they started rerunning entire series just like back to back to back to back to back to back to back? Like, come on, you had to have been there for, like, Charmed.
No.
Like, when on some channel there was an episode of Charmed.
It's TBS, and we don't watch that station. So, as we look at world leaders, now we can turn back to the global world.
Yeah.
Italy is in a quagmire.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I got to briefly read on this one before we got started, and dang it, I have killed coffee again. We're going to run the invisible assistant to death tonight.
Yep.
But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
Law and Order SVU is a great example. Sorry, there were a lot of long-running shows that did that. That they just became permanently on rerun. And some of them still are.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them still are. Like, I swear to God, right now, you somewhere in the world or somewhere on a cable station is an episode of Murder, She Wrote. I will guarantee it.
Now, that's actually good TV. I haven't seen much good TV since then, but that is good TV.
Oh, yeah. Cops.
Like watching Cops, and unfortunately, it would have been interesting if we showed more Cops. But the Italian Prime Minister, which I am not going to attempt to pronounce his name, has resigned, triggering a search for a new government in the tackling of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, I Love Lucy. Good God. For a while there, you couldn't find anything else.
Right.
But yeah, sorry. I get distracted easily, okay? But yeah, no. So the Italian Prime Minister, yeah, that's sounding like a big mess.
It is a big mess.
Especially right now.
Yeah, because if they don't find a majority, it causes a snap election.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this a big balance of power? We only have Italy. It's a small country that's part of the EU, that is now part of a larger majority country.
Mm-hmm.
This could be major for more than just the, pasta situation or the fashion situation. But a lot of things come out of Italy that is controlled by the government, including the governmental benefits. So he's resigned. Major problems throughout. Granted, he is a prime minister. Prime ministers are different than presidents, but he wasn't being favorably looked on. Like, they had been hitting him over the head with the way they responded to COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was deplorable.
Well, and there's been a number of countries that have,
Mm-hmm.
And ours is one that had a horrible COVID-19 response.
Right.
And I think it is going to right now be the big make or break for a lot of politicians. I mean,
Sure.
granted, the U.S. that's taking a backseat to supporting insurrectionists, but when we get there, I'm sure that will be like somewhere on the list, like in the top five.
I think it'll be on the list. I think that 35 executive orders in a week.
Yes.
Really says how much the government was left and having to be fixed and taped and repaired. And I don't know. I just want to send Joe Biden a box of duct tape to help with his repair process.
No, we don't want duct tape. We actually want meaningful political response.
Yeah,
that's well crafted and
are just that. They're duct tape.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are. They are.
Yes.
Yes.
And we'll be covering a lot more of what he's doing on Friday. Because Friday is when we're going to start looking at some really good executive orders that he'd done, some rewriting of policy that he'd done. Again, so this instability could cause instability in other areas.
Mm-hmm. That it does.
Because, with it being part of the EU, it actually affects everything else. Now, can you imagine having to go into an election, a snap election? Like, you get 3 months. Well, there you get 2 months. It's regulated. 2 months. You get to run a campaign for 2 months, and then you go to election.
Mm-hmm.
None of this 2.5-year crap. None of this 4-year crap of running your campaign. 2 months.
Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. And especially right now. And that may inadvertently be a situation in which I don't know if that's an option they have. That given the current, crisis in the world, because we, to some degree, went through that here in the U.S., is that some states had not really, dealt heavily with the idea of an election not being something that people physically went and did. That they had that was a very small or non-existent part of their election system.
Right.
So the U.S. kind of had to figure this out in a few states.
Right.
Very, very quickly. How to make that happen. What I'm more so talking to is for Italy, that may be a thing of, do they need to revise that?
Right.
And look at that differently, that in the middle of an epidemic or a pandemic, that, this isn't, feasible. That, or will it just be a different approach to it?
Right.
Of how do we get everyone on the same page very, very, very quickly?
Right.
With who our candidates are, make sure there's opportunity to ask the important questions, get a good feel for them, and get through this without, worsening a pandemic.
Right. Well, and then President Morella will start trying to figure out if he can find a government majority. If not, then they will dissolve the parliament and go into immediate election of new officials.
Okay.
Dissolve the parliament. Fire the Congress.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take your question in a minute. Can you imagine this happening in our government?
I think at times it's almost been the hope.
Right.
I do to some degree hate to say it, but I think we have, especially over the last 20 years, encountered a few situations in which that would have been the best solution we had.
Yeah.
Would have been to dissolve Congress and try again.
Right.
And just totally try it again.
Right. All right, so let's take this one last question, and then we'll switch gears here.
Alrighty. So Madison, 12/15/2001. I would like to know if John will break up with his girlfriend anytime soon.
Let's see what's going on with Mr. John. Yes. And this is controversial, but I'll give it to you anyhow. Ed Cobbs, walking away from things that he has built and thought was there.
Mm-hmm.
Nine of Swords, releasing things that do not serve him. Nine of Swords, Nine of Wands. We have seen this card a minute ago. And then the final outcome is the Devil, which means that he does this, but he also does this for alternative motives. So yes, he'll break up with his girlfriend soon, but there's another reason for breaking up with her.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we have reached the end of this episode. It's been great. I like these fast-paced, high-paced episodes where we get to cover a lot of topics.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
So, of course, we do want to thank our Patreon sponsors. Guys, we really appreciate your support, and we hope you are enjoying all the benefits and making sure you use them. Because, you get discounts off him.
Yeah, discounts off me, discounts off your web service. You have the private Facebook group where you can enjoy watching our shows. You get discounts on different things. Like this Saturday, I'm doing Power Saturday. That's where you get readings for the non-Patreon members get readings for $20 and for 15 minutes. Which is a $10 discount. But then we add on there, if you're a Patreon member, you can use your discount code and get it for even less. So, yes, this Saturday will be a very busy Saturday. Astrology class is not listed yet. It will be listed today. I had to reformat my mainframe, and whenever that is done, it normally takes me about a day to get back up and moving in my work cycle. The astrology class will be listed up soon. The numerology class will be listed for replay. The tarot class is being replaced with the new tarot class. So that's our workflow that we're working at. But I'm hoping to have everything caught up within the next 2 days. So the astrology class should be going up here very soon. But Power Saturday will be going forward, and it will be a great Power Saturday. I have some appointments left. I'm also going to be doing lives for those. Yes, Shannon, it is good for teens. And the 101 is in the schedule. I'm really debating on the year and a day program. But if they are teens, Shannon, please make sure that you let me know that you're okay with me teaching your child. But yes, no problem on that. It will be, all those will be distance. You do not have to be anywhere to get, you can literally be everywhere to get a reading from me now, because, I have clients in India, I have clients in the UK, I have clients on 7 continents, and I do 7. I have a bioengineer that, is in Antarctica who comes and connects with me often. So literally, I used to use that one of these days I'm going to be around the world. Well, I'm already around the world in multiple directions. But yes, the Aeson Education courses are getting changed. I am working on a private site for Aeson Education. They'll be going together.
Oh, very cool gift.
Awesome. Cool gift. Very cool. But, where was I? But no, Power Saturday is also going to be when I'm going to be doing some demos. Those demos are going to be things that I don't think are enough for a full class, or things that I cover in other classes that I just want to do a short demo on. Like, I know one of them I'm going to do a tea leaf reading and show you how to do tea leaf reading. I am also going to be doing a little thing on crystal balls. That's at least 2 of the lives. Patrons, if you got an idea for a live you'd like to see me do, other than just taking freebie questions, let me know. We will gladly do that. because, I need ideas. Also, Patreons, remember, you have a thread. If you want us to cover news articles, be sure to post there. Also, Patreon members, you will be getting some polls on some new things I'm thinking about starting. I always turn to my Patreons for, yes, do this. No, don't do this. Yes.
And then our Patreons will be seeing us Thursday.
Yes. We have a Patreon private stream on Thursday where we'll be talking about stuff. Yes, I will be getting it scheduled. Sorry, I'm behind on getting it scheduled. It will be up. It'll be in our private room where we can sit down and talk shop. But let's kind of go over a moment because we haven't covered what our Patreon what our levels are and what they get real fast. If you want to, let's do that.
Okie dokie. Let me get that up in front of me because I always I don't want to give anyone wrong information. So yeah, of course you can go to PCSP Network to find the full list, just like I'm doing now, because I always want to make sure that
and it's always evolving and changing.
Well, that's true too. We have evolved a little bit over time. So there's the $1, $5, and $10 levels. That is tall, grande, and venti because we love themes, and this is a coffee shop. So even at the $1 level, you get the end of video thank yous, which we're about to do here in a minute, our Under the Table and Dreaming newsletter, a 5% discount on a private reading with Aeson, and access to our private Facebook group. With the $5 level, you get all the same as your $1, as well as exclusive early access to coffee chat videos and vlogs, a 10% discount instead of a 5%, and a free meditative wallpaper for phone, tablet, and computer. And then at the $10 a month level, that discount bumps to 15%. All the same free things, as well as a free 3-card angel reading from Aeson each month, which is a $10 value in and of itself. Ooh, there's some conversation about Ipsy. Where are we at with Ipsy?
We are waiting for a package to be shipped to Ipsy. We ordered our Glamour bag for January. It hasn't arrived yet. As soon as it arrives, we will be doing that. And
then there's a question about, I'm assuming watching on Thursday, and yeah, that'll be a link posted to the group.
Yep, that'll be posted to the group. That'll be posted to your Patreon because it is a private live stream. And Mika, honey, within 2 weeks, you will have that option. And you're going to have that option, but not on that network. You will have private, you will get something being added to the Patreons as soon as I get it built out. Will be a private Patreon website. Yes, you will have to enter a username and password to the website, but you will get definitely a complete setup of new deals and a private call button so that you don't have to make appointments with me. But we will be working that out again within the week. There's a lot of things. January is always my launching month, and normally it goes smoothly. It hasn't this month. Hopefully we'll be doing that and getting it done. But yes, there will be a new Patreon site for Patreons only. This is also where we will be releasing our merch. And, after we get that done. So, Mika, hold tight. I'm working on that third shift call and that immediate access button.
There you go. So, yeah, lots of fun things coming out. And, guys, he has been having to tamp out some fires, just like the computer thing. And it's just, I don't know, like, January's been like the fire starter month. Like, you've had a few things that have just, like, burst into flames. And you're like, what the hell?
Well, it's Mercury in retrograde.
Well, there's that.
Yes. We are having problems out of my voice over IP provider. So we're looking at options there. I'm severely looking at an option that I don't like, but I'm going to take it anyhow. And that'll be buying Aeson just a new phone. So we're doing all that in a bag of chips at one time. And this happens every January. I remember one January, and I think it was after the first year we were dating, where we just had to remanufacture my business in a weekend.
Basically. We've your Januaries are always fun, and they include fun sentences. Like, hey, go buy me a domain.
Yeah. Or, hey, I
domain.
need this domain because now I have this idea. Also, of special note, if you are a small business owner, you want to be tuning in Monday at 7 p.m. because Aeson is going to be revealing and working with Dottie the Psychic, but he is going to be talking business plans. And I am not talking bank business plans. I'm actually going to probably rename it your business manifesto. So if you are an independent business owner, please tune in. We will be going live with Dottie the Psychic, and I've invited Emily to stop by to talk about being an independent contractor because she does great graphic design stuff. So that's a coffee chat. Now, Coffee Chats is not a new show. There will not be one every Monday, guys. This is when Aeson wants to have a coffee chat. Sometimes it's with a guest. Sometimes it's just me grabbing a cup of coffee and going, hey, community, what you doing?
There you go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
All right, Vanna, you're up.
Oh, man, in the middle of the scroll, really?
Yes, because I want you to talk about it a little bit more.
Talk about what? What?
Patreon.
Yes, we love Patreons. We do. We really love them, and we thank them for their support. We would specifically like to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Gist, and the Crystal Lotus Shop. If you'd like to become a Patreon sponsor, because we did just go through all the wonderful benefits, or if you'd like to learn more about us and the show, please visit PCSPnetwork.com. But yeah, no, Patreon's awesome.
Patreon is awesome. It's a great way to support us and the content we provide, but also we always want to be sure that you're getting a ton of deals back.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's great for any provider or any content provider that you're into. Like, it's probably the most direct thing you can do. We used to tell you to, other content providers used to tell you, all about Honey Bear or Dollar Shave Club, and that made them some money. You go use the referral code and you could sign up, and they got 10 cents. And it really was the best option. Patreon, that does a lot more.
Yep, it does. It drastically influences us. But, if you are Dollar Shave Club, Honey Bear Ham, Honey app, whatever, or, we're going to be talking about, that thing where I can go and be stealthy.
VPNs,
or whatever.
Yeah, that was the Honey Bear reference. Not Honey Baked Ham Company, Honey Bear, the VPN service.
Oh, no, I want a Honey Baked Ham to sponsor us. Feel free to reach out to us. Also, if you are a small business and you would like to be a corporate sponsor, we have a special package for you. You can do so by reaching out to us again, and we will discuss your sponsorships.
Absolutely. Though, if we could get Honey Baked Ham Company, can I just say they could totally just pay us in ham and cheesecake?
As long as they'll pay us in green bean casserole.
Thank you. No green bean casserole. And maybe no on the sweet potato poofs.
Yeah, we're going to negotiate this contract.
As much as I love my Honey Baked Ham and their cheesecake, I was not impressed with the sweet potato poofs.
Right.
That was kind of
exactly. So, again, guys, we're jilting, we're changing, we're doing more. And, of course, as we do more, it's because we've got more support behind us. And that enables us to kick ass and take names later.
There you go.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a magical night. We will see our patrons on Thursday night. We will see everyone else on Friday. Have a great evening. Be safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Maybe 2 if you need to. And always go register to get your vaccine. Bye, y'all.
Good night.